Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chemical Guys Detail Garage. Today in the shop we have this white Mustang. Now right off the bat, I know you're looking at the car and saying, hey, you know, that looks pretty clean, but I said the same exact thing, and it wasn't until I took a look closer where I saw this paint is trashed. It's super contaminated, it has a lot of industrial fallout, rust spots, and all that kind of contamination that's embedded into the paint. So I want to go ahead and show you guys how to wash and decontaminate and protect this vehicle so that we get the best shine and the best protection and get this car looking as great as possible. So to start off with, a little backstory on this vehicle. This vehicle is, it's one of those rental cars that they get sold to customers. And these rental cars, for the most part, most people that rent a car, they don't really care for the car. It's just kind of like a little, gets them from A to B, and they care nothing for the car because it's not theirs. So what happens in that little, bubble right there? Well, the car gets neglected. It gets taken to those drive-through car washes. Most dealers, if they do wash them there, they use them with their same dirty towels that they use to wash hundreds of other cars. I mean, I have a car that isn't as new as this, and I'll tell you this, it looks a lot better than the paint on this. So I just want to make sure to give this paint the justice and ultimately show you guys out at home, those of you guys have white cars, show you guys how to make the best possible shine out of a white car. I mean, as most of you guys know, white is one of those colors that is very, very hard to make shine just because it doesn't really reflect much. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to go ahead and achieve those shine results on your vehicle. So stay tuned. We have some awesome content coming your way. First things first, the wash. That's right, you guys named it, you guys guessed it. Washing the vehicle is the first key component in getting this paint back to brand new. So we're going to be using our 2-bucket wash method. I don't know if you guys saw, but the vehicle is pretty filthy. It has a lot of dust, embedded grime, pollution, industrial fallout. So this white car is relatively known for having those kind of contaminants stick out because you see everything on the white paint. So 2-bucket method, just to make sure that we have a filtered wash. I do have my 4-way wash mitt here, which pretty much has the chenille noodles on one side. So that's going to be nice, and that's going to go ahead and allow us to agitate heavy grime. We also have this kind of mesh on the side. Let me see if I can get those noodles out the way. We have this mesh material on the side, which is going to go ahead and do great at removing tar and bugs that are embedded onto the paint. And then we also have this soft side, this microfiber side, which works out great for maintenance. So ever in the future, if you want to use the same wash mitt to maintain your vehicle and give it a nice, clean, and filtered and smooth wash, this microfiber material works out super great. And then you also have one more side right here, which is just another bug, tar remover. So that's going to work out great. The front end doesn't have too much bug and tar, but it's great that we have that just in case we have another vehicle like that. The next soap that we're going to be using is going to be Citrus Wash Clear. Now I decided to use Citrus Wash Clear because it's a citrus-based product that's going to go ahead and break down heavy grime, but it's also pH neutral. So for you guys that love that citrus-based power, but love also that pH neutral, compatibility with your vehicle so that you don't strip your waxes and sealants, this works out great. And I'm also going to be accompanying it with Clean Slate. I don't know if you guys know, but Clean Slate is a surface cleansing wash. So that soap right there, it's going to do great at breaking down any kind of waxes and sealants and glazes that are on the paint. I mean, this car doesn't look like it's had any kind of maintenance or any kind of waxes put on there for a while, just because the paint is super bare, it's super rough. So that's just one of those clear indications that it hasn't been taken care of. So Clean Slate is going to do an amazing job at breaking down any kind of oils that are on there and prepping the surface for us to go ahead and clay and then polish and etc. So the last thing that we have here is our foam cannon. Now I am going to be using the foam cannon here just because I want to go ahead and get the maximum lubrication. So what I mean by that is the paint is super jacked up already. We don't want to make it any worse by not using the right amount of lubrication. So we're going to use the foam cannon with our Citrus Wash Clear and our mixture of Clean Slate. So what I like to do here is I have my foam cannon bottle already filled up with water. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Citrus Wash Clear. I'm going to have to remove this little plastic on here because it is a brand new bottle. I'm going to take that right off, and I'm going to go ahead and squirt about an ounce of product into my foam cannon here. And for you guys that don't know, an ounce of product is pretty much equivalent to one good squeeze with Citrus Wash Clear. Now all you want to do is grab your Clean Slate, and same thing, we're going to go ahead and put 1 ounce of that into there. And there we have it. So I'm going to go ahead and set that down. I'm going to put my foam cannon nozzle back on top and just make sure to lock that in place. And then this is one more thing, you want to make sure to stir it in. You don't want to shake it because you don't want the bubbles to form inside the bottle here. You want your solution to stay true. So just make sure to stir it so that the product mixes together, so that when the water jets through, it jets through with the soap and not with the foam that's in there. And just like that, we're ready to go. Our foam cannon is ready to go. And now all I like to do is, with our 2-bucket method here, grab some more citrus wash clear. I'm gonna dedicate my red bucket here to my soap bucket. So what I'm gonna do is, one good squirt, never hurt. And now we're ready to wash. So now I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with rinsing on the vehicle. I do have the pressure washer connected just because there's a lot of dirt and grime, and I wanna make sure to get all the dirt and grime out of all the cracks and edges. So I'm gonna give it a pre-rinse, and then we're gonna come back with you guys to go ahead and show you guys with the wash mitt, the soap, and all the rest of the stuff. So stay tuned. All right, guys, and there you guys have it. As you guys see, we're done. I'm just kidding, guys. You guys just see with just the rinse, it already changed the tone of this white car. It actually brought out that bright white look as opposed to like that dull kind of yellow kind of look. So now we're gonna go ahead and take off our pressure washer tip here, and I'm gonna go ahead and connect my foam cannon into my torque snubby here and proceed with the foaming so that we get that nice lubricated and sudsy soap going on. All right, so now that we finished foaming up the car, it's time to go ahead and wipe it down with our wash mitt. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our wash mitt, and we're gonna dunk it into our soap bucket here, which I already foamed up. I just simply put my pressure washer gun into there, foamed up the product that the citrus wash clear that I put in there earlier, just to activate the suds. Now I can grab my wash mitt here, dunk it in there, and get that nice layer of cleaning suds on my wash mitt so that our wash mitt is completely lubricated and we prevent the chance of any kind of scratches rolling that can happen. So now that we've done that, you guys see the paint is still foamed up. Whenever you're working on your vehicle, you want to make sure to work in straight motions. Why? Because you guys saw the swirl marks. Those are caused by improper wash technique. So if the car is filthy as this, if I got the wash mitt now and I started going like this around the vehicle, that's what's going to cause your swirl marks. So make sure to use straight motions, and this is going to prevent the chance of you installing a swirl mark, because a fine, light, straight scratch is a lot easier to polish out than a circular swirl mark. And you want to make sure to get about half the car done before you come back to wipe off your wash mitt. And also get underneath the windshield wiper here. Now you want to come back to your rinse bucket. Before you come into your rinse bucket, you want to make sure to wring this out. Go into your rinse bucket here, and then you want to go ahead and scrub the fibers of the wash mitt towards the bottom where the dirt trap is, and that's going to go ahead and release any kind of embedded dirt that's on the fibers of the wash mitt and filter it through the dirt trap. So now you see a nice clean wash mitt. Grab it, wring it out once more, and this is the whole 2-bucket method. So if you guys haven't seen the 2-bucket method before, this is what it is. Rinse it, come back to your soap bucket, get it nice and lubricated all over again, and then you repeat the process around the vehicle. The way I like to do it is I'll do the roof, the windshield, and the hood, come to my rinse bucket, come back and forth, and do the top parts of the vehicle, and then do the sides, and then do the lower parts. That way you don't get any kind of contamination that's on the lower part of your vehicle and get it to the top and, you know, cross-contaminate. As you guys know, you drive through a lot of harsh abrasives such as brake dust, dirt, grime, salt. That stuff usually cakes at the bottom of your vehicle because your tires fling that onto the paint. So you want to make sure to don't work backward forward. Clean the top, clean the bottom, how gravity works, and then you'll have a great time and a great washing experience. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with cleaning the rest of the vehicle, and then I'm going to rinse it off and come back with you guys for the drying process. All right, so now that we've finished washing and rinsing off the vehicle, I want to dry the vehicle. But I want you guys to be with me while I dry it because I want to show you guys and point out a few things. The first thing is I'm going to be using a waffle weave towel. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the paint, but the paint still looks dirty, and that's just because it's a white car that has embedded contamination. So you guys can see, it looks like you have a lot of little yellow, brown specks on the paint. That stuff is not gonna come off with the regular wash. That stuff is gonna require a clay bar in order to get that removed. The next thing is no slickness to the paint. Clean Slate removes all those waxes and sealants on the paint so that your paint is completely bare. You can indicate that by feeling it, and you can hear that just like that nasty sound that pretty much indicates that there's no sort of lubrication on there. So that's gonna go ahead and be great for us for when we polish, because there's not gonna be any kind of oils or stuff that's on the paint that's gonna interfere with the results. The last thing is I'm using filtered water. Now, I know a lot of you professionals out there looking at me and saying, holy hell, you know, this guy's crazy. He's washing a car outside in direct sunlight. Don't worry, the water's filtered. There's no minerals, alkaline, or calcium deposits in the water, so it's just straight water. So if the water were to hypothetically dry up like that, it would not leave any stains. So that works out great in our case. I'm still gonna expedite the process and wipe it down with my waffle weave towel, because I wanna make sure that it's completely dry and there's nothing on there. And the way I like using this towel is I like folding it in half and just dragging it across the paintwork. You do have different techniques for drying as well as blotting. So you can go ahead and put the towel onto the surface, blot it out, and that's gonna go ahead and pretty much soak up all the water that's under it, just like that. But since this vehicle has no kind of protection on it, it means that the water is now gonna sheet off. It's not gonna come off as easily because the paint is completely bare. So now I'm gonna go ahead and continue with drying the rest of the vehicle. I'm gonna put it inside so I'm not outdoors and sweating this whole time, so that we have a more comfortable, clean experience. So stay tuned. One last thing that I did forget to mention is with your drying towel, it's gonna react differently to different types of paint. So such as this right here, it's a bare contaminated paint. So when your paint is contaminated, that means you have pockets of contamination on the surface of the vehicle, which oftentimes whenever you're trying to dry your car and you get kind of like a drag, kind of streak look, it's because that water, it's not being able to get absorbed by the towel. So you have a lot of remnants of water that's still entrapped in that pocket of contamination. So that's one thing to keep in mind whenever using your towel and choosing your towel. So that's why I like using the waffle weave, because it's super absorbent and it works out great for drying out vehicles that are maintained and smooth as glass, or unmaintained and contaminated really bad. So like I said, I'm gonna continue with drying the rest of the vehicle, and we'll proceed with the clay bar process so that I can show you guys how to remove all these little yellow and brown specks that are on the white paint. All right guys, car is clean, it's dried, and now it's inside ready for us to decontaminate it. So we're gonna be going with our heavy clay bar. Now the reason I'm going with the heavy clay bar is because this is gonna be a heavy and sticky clay bar for this heavy embedded contamination that's on this paint. So with this right here, it's a brand new clay bar. I just grabbed it from the store. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of its packaging. And then you'll have two plastic sleeves on here that you wanna go ahead and take off. Make sure to take them off. Don't leave them on there. Take them off on both sides. And then you want to go ahead and grab yourself a chunk. Now, right away, I want you guys to notice how sticky this clay bar is, how much it stretches. So you want to make sure to grab a good amount of clay bar. Like right here, I may have grabbed a little too much, so I'm just going to rip this little tail off. Boom. And then put that back into my packaging here. So now that I have my clay bar, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest and just put it in my pocket for now until I need some more. Cool. So now that we have that, now I like to knead my clay bar into like a little patty that I can go ahead and grab with my forefingers. And I'm gonna go ahead and knead that around into like a little patty. And there you guys go. Nice and easy. And now we can go ahead and begin the clay bar process. So right here I have clay lubricant. It's in a 32-ounce spray bottle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the trunk. Right off the bat, I want you guys to see like this little lip right here. It has a ton of contamination. You see all the little yellow brown specks that are on there. For some reason, that area seems to have them the worst, along with the bumper right here. But we're just gonna be worrying about this right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the clay lubricant and I'm gonna spray directly onto the surface here. Spray directly onto the surface, and make sure to spray a good amount just because you want it super slick. Spray your clay bar, and now you just want to gently glide it left and right. And right away, you're gonna see that it pulls off all that little embedded contamination, which are usually indicated by those little brown, yellow specks. Like I mentioned, that's all industrial fallout, you know, rust, stuff that lands on the paint that you can't physically, you know, on a different colored car see, but you can feel. So on a black car, you'll feel it. You won't necessarily see it, but on a white car, you'll feel it and you'll see it. Once you do a little area, you grab your towel and inspect the paint. And you guys can see it knocked a lot of that yellow, brown little contamination from there, but it can still use a little bit more just because it's super contaminated. Like I said, it's a 2016, but I really don't know where this car was parked. It could have been parked next to an industrial plant for all I know, and it just resulted in all the contamination embedding itself on there. So I'm gonna continue with this little section and show you guys a little 50-50 of what your paint should look like versus what it shouldn't look like. Check that out, guys. So I put a piece of tape down so we can kind of get like a little hard line 50-50. Now that I buff off the residue that kind of landed under the tape, I want you guys to pay attention to the paint. See how the left side right here, it's more brighter. You have a brighter shade of white and you don't have all the little yellow specks on there anymore, as opposed to the right side, which you still have that rough feel. You have all the little yellow specks on there and the paint is still contaminated. So I'm gonna continue with clay barring the rest of the vehicle. If you guys like this video, if you guys like, you know, this demonstration, if you learned something new today, make sure to like the video and also comment down below. My name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage. We'll see you guys next time.